How's it going? I'm Max from M Ivory Sound. Today I'm going to be showing you basic beat production within Ableton Live 10. Today we're going to cover adjusting time signature and tempo, using the metronome, creating MIDI audio and return tracks, adding instruments to the MIDI tracks, creating and using MIDI/audio clips, loop regions and MIDI overwrite, applying effects to tracks, using sends, bringing clips into the assembly, and exporting. That might take a little while, so this might be a longer video, so put your feet up, grab a cup of coffee, something like that, I don't know, you do you. Let's kick it off with time signature and tempo. So these are up here, so you got your time signature here, so you can drop that down to 3/4 or 4/4 or whatever you're after. By default it stays in 4/4, and then your tempo's here, you just click on it and drag your mouse around and it'll adjust. You can also just click on it and then tap in some numbers and then hit enter, or alternatively you can just tap your tempo out to however fast you want it to be. You can continue tapping after 4 taps and it will just continue to adjust. However, after 4 taps it will begin to play any audio that you have queued up to be playing either in this view here or the kind of assembly view. The metronome is pretty simple. You left click once to turn it on and it'll go yellow, and then click again, it'll turn off and go grey. So if I hit play, you can then hear the tempo when it's on and when it's off. Okay, so there are 3 different types of tracks within Ableton Live 10. You have MIDI tracks, we have 2 of them here, 2 audio tracks as well here, and 2 sends at the end here. So it's quite simple. Audio tracks are for physical audio, MIDI tracks store MIDI information and hook up to VSTs, and then sends at the end here, or return tracks. Essentially this means that if you've got some audio in one of your audio or MIDI tracks, you can then adjust how much of a send it will use, and that will then apply whichever effect correlating to A being A, so reverb, and B being B, so delay. You can make as many of these as you want, as you can with all of the other tracks. The next thing we're going to cover is adding instruments to MIDI tracks and then using said instruments. So here we've got the dirty piano. We're just going to drag it and drop it onto that MIDI track. It will then arm it for record by default, and that means that if you have a MIDI keyboard plugged in, you can just start hammering away at that and it will make sound. If not, then you either go up to the top right here and you click on this computer MIDI keyboard symbol, or you press M on your keyboard as a shortcut for that. Z and X controls the octave which your keyboard is covering, and C and V controls the velocity, so how hard you're hitting the instrument, so how loud it is essentially. It can also control other things, but generally it's to do with volume. So your letters A through L, just kind of horizontally on your keyboard, that will control the kind of white keys, if you will, and then W, E, T, Y, U, and O will control some of the black keys, missing out kind of R and then I, because there wouldn't be black keys there if this was a genuine keyboard. The next thing that we're going to cover is creating and using audio and MIDI clips. To begin with, we're just going to go and create some MIDI clips because it's easier to do than audio clips, and I'll then go over and show how to make audio clips. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is you want to right click and insert a MIDI clip, or alternatively you can just double click on an empty spot. We only need one, so that's fine. Now it opens up this piano roll in the bottom here. I've just expanded it like so. If you hover over the left of the actual reel, you can kind of select specific notes here by just dragging up and down here. But if you can also mouse over to see what the notes are, but if you go to the left of that, you can get this magnifying glass. If you push up on your mouse with the left mouse button down, you'll see lower on the thing. If you pull it back, you'll then scroll up. If you move your mouse to the right, you'll zoom in, and to the left you'll zoom out. You can see all of them, I believe, even when it's very small, which is absurd. We're going to stick around here and just get some notes laid down. Nothing particularly kind of over the top or dramatic or anything. We're just getting some random notes kind of laid out here. I haven't got these pre-planned, so this might sound horrendous. I'm going to move that up one actually, then bring that down. So we will see how this sounds in a moment. That's a bit fast if you ask me. So what we're going to do is we're going to select all of it, going right to the end just to ensure that it does clip everything out. And we're going to play it at half tempo. Now that's expanded it, but it's in a grey region, which means that if we press play, because it's looping at this end bracket here, we have to expand that. So if you grab this length thing, you can either just drag up on your mouse, or you can just type in however long you want it to be and hit enter to confirm. Just going to expand that slightly. Going to bring this one down again. Nothing too crazy, just a weird little melody, just so that we have some kind of substance to work with. So you can expand this to however long you wish to have your MIDI track going on for. I believe it's indefinite, which is quite nice. You can also legato it and do all sorts of other things. So reversing notes, inverting everything, just playing things backwards, upside down, making all the notes kind of meet together, duplicating stuff, all sorts. It's all here, and it says in the info window what everything does. So if you're ever in doubt and you don't know what, say, this does, you can then read it in the bottom left, which is nice. Alright, so now that we have a MIDI clip here, we're going to go on to talking about audio clips. So by default, audio clips won't be armed for record. It will just kind of be like this with nothing armed for record. I'm just going to select this one. If you want to actually start recording audio, you hit the arm button and that will then arm it for record. You're then going to need to select your inputs. Mine aren't showing up because I have my inputs being used by OBS rather than Ableton. But if I was just running Ableton on its own, you would see kind of a green bar jumping up and down on the left instead of a black bar, which would indicate volume. This is where you've got your kind of guitars which you've got plugged in, or your microphones or whatever you've got plugged in. So you just hit record, it would count in, and then it would start recording. And because, as I said before, my microphone isn't being used by this piece of software, it's not going to record anything. Alright, so the next thing that I'm going to teach you guys is drum racks. These are one of the most helpful things within Ableton. This is basically the equivalent of the FPC from Fruity Loops, if you're familiar with that. So you grab your kick. We don't have that on. So we like that kick, we're just going to drop it in. So just dragging and dropping, turn snap off because that's on by default and I personally don't like it. I also normally normalize just to make sure that everything is as loud as it should be. And kind of even, and then I adjust the volume in the bottom right there, just appropriately. I'm going to just grab a snare. Didn't want something with too much of a tail. So I've dropped it on C1 and D1, I've just moved them so you can see that. So it's on C1 and D1, which means that if I move my octave, you can see where I am on my keyboard here. If I move that down to C1 to D2, A would control the kick, D would control the snare. Just going to expand that tail again. So now we have a kick and a snare, we're just going to grab a hat, just because we could probably do with one. That will do. Just going to drop it there. Now the D key controls the hat. I'm going to normalize it, unsnap it. It's a bit loud, so I'm just going to bring it down a bit. Yeah, so I'm happy with that. Okay, so now you can double click and you can input your drums there. So the next thing we're going to mention, or kind of talk about rather, is going to be applying effects to specific tracks. So this is quite important just in general. You may want to be using, I don't know, a compressor or something on one of the tracks but not on another one. So you'd come into your audio effects, you'd grab your compressor and you'll drop it on, say, the piano here. And then as far as using sends go, you just move it up like that, or like that. So now we're going to have a bunch of reverb on this and then a little bit of delay. If I turn the delay up more, you can kind of notice it more prominently. So that's how settings work as well. Say you've got this clip here, but you don't want it to be there, you want to make your entire song as you kind of want it. Then you can just drag this, left click, hit tab, bring it over in here, expand it, do whatever you want. Now if you hit play, it will play it. However, it's not actually going to be playing it from here in this assembly view, it's going to be playing it from here in this I don't even know, launch view maybe? I didn't even know. Session view apparently. Either way, this is just where you launch your clips, so it's still going to be playing it in here, which isn't what we want. The way that we change that is we just hit this little arrow and then it will make sure that it's playing from here. So now at the end of the clip it'll stop, rather than before at the end of the clip it continued playing. So that's how you kind of ensure that everything's working as you'd want it. So say you've just got your kind of drums and such, that's not expanded. So what you have to do there, you double click it, just open this view, hit loop, and then it will loop it and ensure that it kind of works as it should do. So say this is all you want for your song, you just want a little 8-bar, pretty naff kind of chord progression, even if it's not really chords, but you know what I mean, a couple notes here and there, just progressing, some drums. Say that is all you wanted, you would then just go up here, go export, audio/video, you'd say rendered track would be your master, unless you wanted to render specifically only your drums or something like that. You can make sure that your kind of render start is 1 1 1 1 1 1, just lots of ones, and then the length would be kind of the last bar, which it kind of has the entirety of. So that render will stop on the 9 because the 8-bar kind of ends just before the 9 starts. So yeah, then you just go ahead and hit export. It'll tell you where you want to export it, and then you just hit export and it will just load through that. This one would be very quick because there's not much kind of going on. So this is what a finished track may look like, with your multiple channels, multiple samples going on. You've got vocal stuff at the bottom here, which I'm muting because it's not finished at all. But for the most part this is finished, just the instrumental side is finished. We've got some automation going on just for a bit of volume, just here, nothing else really anywhere else at all as far as automation goes, which is quite simple, just keeping it pretty clean. It's just a loop for the most part, but I'm just going to play this out. If you want to hear the finished track, you can head on over to my SoundCloud, the link will be in the description. If you feel like following me on Instagram, feel free. If you want to hit subscribe, that'd be helpful for me, kind of getting these videos out there, and then it's also quite good for if you wanted to see other tutorials that I've made. But yeah, as I said, the full track will be up on the SoundCloud. I hope you have a good day. Thank you for watching this video. Goodbye.